Dad, she look like she's sleeping.
Hey, dude down there. I wonder what that's about.
I ain't never killed a man, but you can't put it past me. Know what it's like to
Can y'all hear me? Well, you, the other person in here.
When it's all said and done, what the fuck happened? Tell me what's gonna happen when I die. Cause I want every nigga that I fuck with to cry.
I ain't went live in a long time.
Whenever you missing me, just look up in the sky. Like pimp sets, we miss you. We just need your guidance. Can you help us with this issue? My ass nigga tripping, can't decide who he commit to. And I'ma come back down and hunt his
Okay, cool.
Life after death, is it lit or not? Will I still be that bitch or not? Tell me, will I still be the shit or not? I like head, can I still get licked or not? Can I skip the judgment line? I don't like wait. Hallelujah, I'ma bless my bitches with some papers. And even when I'm under, bitch, I'm still on top. Life after death, is it lit or not? Is it a heaven for a pimp? Shit, it gotta be. Can my nigga call a prayer line and say hi to me? Can he take his Hellcat to heaven? Do he gotta leave his weapon Mac 11? Or is that against the policy? Push up to them pearly gates. He called me his angel face. Can I talk to God and make sure all my people beat the case? When I'm on that side where them flowers never die, watching all my people crying, can they feel that I'ma be okay?
This Mona Leo.
Piss me off. Why you pouring out that liquor when you hoes got salt? Why you curled up in that bed? Bitch, get up and get out.
Hopefully I don't get flagged for playing it.
It ain't over to the fat lady singing. When I die, know my name still ringing. Life or death, man, you bitches can't see me. People never die, I'm in the afterlife swinging. Life after death, is it lit or not? Will I still be that bitch or not? Tell me, will I still be the shit or not? I like head, can I still get licked or not? Can I skip the judgment line? I don't like wait. Hallelujah, I'ma bless my bitches with some papers. And even when I'm under, bitch, I'm still on top. Life after death, is it lit or not? Hey, it's Leo. Think big, bitch. Pussy. Pussy. Bitches be thinking they bigger than me, but who bigger than me when I'm bigger than big? Nigga, I'm bigger than Ben. I'm bigger than these bitches' wigs. A lot of these rap hoes lost in the sauce. Fuck it, I'm bringing it in. I'm the one setting the trends. Big Leo gon' do it again. Bigger than large, young bitch get more money. That mean the bigger the car, bigger the boobs. I went big on a broad. That shit had him in awe. Smackdown, he tryna WWE. He wanna hit the shit raw. Bet, let's play a game. Right after this, you can forget what you saw. Bigger than huge. Pussy, I'm bigger than you. Way more thicker than you. I'm slicker than you. Niggas know that I'm a star. I got a Michelin moves. I'm sticking in moves. Get in the mix and get out. I got a mission to do. You missing your dude. I'ma send him right back after I'm finished with dude. Nigga, I'm bigger than big. Fuck it, I'm bigger than Ben. Yeah. Nigga, I'm bigger than big. I'm talking about bigger than rings. Ain't nothing bigger than my program. He wanna know if I'm real, I am. I got a feeling tonight gonna be a good night. I'm finna call Will I Am. He grinning and Sam, I am for sure. We linking Abraham. He wanna see these big old tits. He wanna give me a mammogram. Slut, everything big, enormous. H-Town, bitch, I'm gorgeous. Birthday 424. Yeah, bitch, I'm a big old Taurus. I'm bigger than hoes, they boring. I'm flying in hoes, I'm soaring. We finna shoot us a movie. Only if he got money like Warner. Preach, preacher. Take your time, master. Nigga, I'm bigger than big. Fuck it, I'm bigger than Ben. Bigger than big. Bigger than big. Bigger than big. Bigger than big.
We're gonna get started probably around like 14 to give people a chance to come in. How y'all feeling today?
Nigga, I'm bigger than big. Fuck it, I'm bigger than Ben. Yeah. Nigga, I'm bigger than big. I'm talking about bigger than rigs. Bitches be thinking they bigger than me, but who bigger than me when I'm bigger than big? Nigga, I'm bigger than Ben. I'm bigger than these bitches' wigs. A lot of these rap hoes lost in the sauce. Fuck it, I'm bringing it in. I'm the one setting the trends. Big Leo gon' do it again.
What's up, y'all? How are y'all doing? We're gonna get started around 4:10 to give people time to come in. I think like about 20 people registered. All them people more than likely not gonna show up, but I just want to give people a chance to come in. How y'all feeling? How y'all Sunday going? And out of curiosity, how many of y'all got Discord? I'm glad you're here too. So I was thinking about I was wondering how y'all was gonna feel about Discord because I realized that like I want to hear y'all voices and I can't on here. Hey, happy Sunday. Like I just want the option for y'all to talk if y'all want to, like if y'all don't want to just stay in the chat. So I made a server. Um, but whether we switch over to it, uh I'll leave that up to y'all. Cause I really wanted this to be interactive. Like this ain't I'm not trying to do like a I'm not trying to lecture. I really wanted it to be more of like a back and forth conversation of hearing y'all thoughts and y'all feelings as well. Which I know I can get y'all thoughts and feelings in the chat, but I also just wanted to hear y'all voices. And I'm like, damn, I can't hear y'all voices on here. I wanted to do it on YouTube to make it as accessible as possible, but then I realized y'all voices, I can't hear y'all voices through here. So let me know what y'all think about going over to Discord. Let's see. I was playing Mona Leo earlier, but I don't know if I'm gonna get a strike. Yeah, Discord is an app. Um, it's basically where you can create servers to chat but they also have like a voice chat option so that you can like talk on there with multiple people. Um, yeah. I don't know how else to describe it. But yeah, it's like having a server. So if y'all do want it, I'm gonna put the link to my server in here anyway. But and then maybe I can pin it or something. But yeah, I was playing Mona Leo earlier, but I don't want to get a strike or something. I can't get paid anyway, but I just don't want like nothing to go wrong to where like y'all can't hear me or people can't replay it back or whatever. But how many of y'all listened to her new album so far? Who did the body? I'm putting on just something in the background. I don't want it to just be me talking and in these big gaps. We about to get started in a minute anyway. The fact that you thought it was me is so funny to me. Like that is really funny. I take that as a compliment. This ain't what I'm trying to give either. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. One second, y'all. Sexy Solon is it. It's it. Like when she first released it, I was playing it on a loop. I was like, let me go ahead and just buy it. Like after I play a certain song after I stream a certain song so many times, I feel like I'm obligated to buy it. Like, cause we already know they don't really be getting paid off streaming like that. So if I like a song enough to listen to it that many times, I'm like, let me go ahead and give her coins. Cause she did what she had to do. And what's funny is I listened to her album like when it came out. I listened to it for the first time. I put it on when I got in the shower too. I had no regrets. And I was about to do it today too. Like when I was getting showered today, I was about to play it. But I was like, I played another playlist instead because just like for ritualistic purposes, I'm like, it's Sunday. I need to do certain things like with my shower ritual. So I need to play this specific playlist. But it's a great, I feel like her album is a great project to throw on when you getting in the shower. Because really, you can just play it all the way through. It's only like 2 songs from the project that I didn't save to my library. And they not bad. But I really enjoy the album. All right, y'all. Let's get started. So for those of y'all that are not familiar with who I am, my name is Camila Shakur. I am a spiritual practitioner, spiritual analyst. I'm a writer, multidisciplinary artist. I'm an archivist. I wear a lot of hats. Today, our focus is going to be on the energetics of collective liberation. And I wanted to talk about this because I feel like it's something that don't get talked about enough. Like in terms of like when we're talking about like liberation work and things like that, whenever I show up in spaces where we're having these panels or these discussions, this never comes up. And it's something, it feels like an elephant in the room because I know that a lot of the people that are there are also deeply spiritual people. And so, but it also never feels like it's a place to bring it up either. Um, the information is always like really dense with like the facts and the histories, which is necessary. And it's also a time and a place for everything, right? Because a lot of those things too, like sometimes we're sharing space with people that like it may not be a safe space for us to talk about those things. But yeah, like we're often talking about like history, the facts of that was going on in history, the facts of what's going on now, and things like that. And maybe even like emotions to a certain degree, but never like energy. We're never discussing energy. And I feel like that's something that we can't just skate around. I don't know about y'all, but that's something that we cannot just skate around in every major movement. Like, like I'm speaking to like Black movements. There has been a spiritual component to what's going on, whether people recognize it or not. And I'm not just talking about the role of the Black church, even though we can't get past that. Like, there was always a spiritual essence to things that was going on and and even like when you look at like people like Baba Mutulu Shakur, you know what I'm saying, and how he was into acupuncture and how he was into things, and he was making things available to his community members that was energetic, like that had a sense of understanding energy. So these things have always been a part of like the Black radical tradition and things like that. But I just feel like we don't talk about it enough. And if it does get brought up, it's kind of like on the side. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to kind of like be clear about, again, number one, I'm gonna be I'm facilitating this, but it's not, I don't want it to be like a lecture. Um, I really want y'all to participate and share your thoughts and and how y'all feel, because the name of this isn't energetics of individual liberation. It's about collective liberation. So I kind of expect y'all to speak up, you know what I'm saying? To say something if you have something to say. It's no pressure, but like I want to know how y'all feel and what y'all think about these things. Um and I also want to be clear about the fact that, like, we all know that saying of how like freedom ain't free. I am somebody that firmly believes that the freedom of marginalized people in this world, like the cost for that is going to be like the destruction of the world as we know it. So I'm not approaching this from a sense of like doomerism or like go in the street and bomb everybody thing, but I'm also not on no like trying to save the world type shit, because realistically, for new worlds to be built, sacrifices have to be made. So I'm not coming at it from like no super black and white moral place either. Um, and that's another reason why I feel like energy work and those type of things have to be discussed. So I see ritualized radical action and liberated centered work in this realm as kind of like my personal blueprint for spiritual liberation as well. So what I mean by that is I'm trying to wrap this reincarnation loop up. I'm not trying to come back here. And I think that part of how I'm gonna get free from that is how I participate in liberation work in like on earth. That's my personal philosophy for myself. Um so yeah, I want to start with some guiding questions for energetic collective liberation. And the first one is, how does freedom feel? And I think this is important to understand in terms of how we as individuals interpret freedom to feel in our body, in our spirit, in our experience. And how do we interpret freedom to feel as collective bodies? Like when we talk about liberation work, like what is it that we are seeking to not just see happen, but how do we want to feel? And how do we know if we're getting closer to it if we don't know how it feels, right? Nubia says liberation historical, but not how to apply that collectively in the 21st century. Community muscles are in atrophy. I definitely agree with that sentence. Oh yeah, I gotta save that. It is not the 60s anymore. Yeah. Yeah. And even back then, and people who was doing the work back then have repeatedly said that we can't operate the way that they did back then. We can't. Like, we have to do what's necessary for right now. Keys says, been thinking about the sacrifice of it all too lately, because I'm reading Sky Full of Elephants. Ooh, what's that? I feel like I heard that title before. Um go back to what I was saying. So yeah, so how does liberation feel to those of us who share the same core values? What does it feel like to be around these people physically, digitally? How do we feel emotionally and vibrationally when we're together? And I think like when we find ourselves in these spaces, I know that for me, that was like a main reason why I knew that for me, spiritual work and liberation works is two sides of the same coin, was because I kept feeling myself being pulled to these specific spaces that were overtly political. And I felt spiritually moved the most when I was in those spaces. I felt held the most when I was in these spaces. Um so thinking about that, like even Nubia, she had a great series this year for Black August, gathering us and how we are able to gather together and how we felt when we were gathered together talking about Black August, discussing the literature, discussing the histories, getting to bear witness to one another and talk about these things and our understandings of them and just all of these things is such a necessary component. um and it makes a difference because how you feel when you come into a space is going to kind of dictate how you move and how you navigate. Like if you come into a space and you don't really feel, you know what I'm saying, it's going to, that information is going to kind of be a compass to tell you, I'm not going to come back here, but maybe I need to go this way, maybe I need to go that way. Nubia says, I'm usually having a feeling of being revitalized when in these spaces with one another. Yeah. Key says, one of the biggest pieces of the premise of America is after all the white folks walk into the ocean. This is about the book. I have heard of this book before. I need to, but thank you for bringing that up because I need to put that on my to read list immediately. Sky full of elephants. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing that. This list is just getting, it's getting so long. Matea, yeah, I also think the lack of art education is intentional in obstructing the development of our collective energy and spiritually fortifying. And like you were saying, knowing what it, absolutely, absolutely. Because for as much as we, understand like the role of like Black people kind of like being diverted to these spaces of like arts and entertainment, um, we also know that the arts, the arts is such a crucial key to how we connect to each other. And so that's part of like why for creative spirit work, if you're not familiar, creative spirit work is a framework that I created a couple of years ago. And as I was kind of writing the praxis for it, a big part of it, a big tenet of creative spirit work is divorcing our artistry from late stage capitalism as much as possible, because when it is in service, when our creativity is in service to our spiritual development, it is also in service to our collective liberation. It has no other way of operating outside of that. If you're being spiritually fed, truly, truly, you're getting free. You're getting free. Okay, let me go back to what I was. Okay, so yeah, so getting back to that understanding of how do we feel emotionally and vibrationally when we're together, um, and understanding that that is like our North Star. Listening to how we feel, listening to our spiritual compass, this is a necessary component of how we get free. Because some revolutionary actions are only going to be successful because of our intuitive instincts, right? Like, are we bonded to people who will not only trust the feelings that we have, but add to and clarify that guidance through their own intuition, through the guidance that they're receiving? And so I have a list of other questions that I'm going to. Oh, I can share my screen here. I'm going to put the link here too, just in case y'all want to revisit it. And then I'm gonna share my screen so we can go over these questions. We might need to do a book club for that one. Like, it sounds really good. Okay, so some of these other questions, starting with based on our energetic proclivities, are our spirits able to work together toward collective liberation? And what I mean by that is like, yeah, I'm gonna that's what I thought about the permissions, but I thought it would like pop up, and something told me like use Canva instead so people can view it. But y'all can see it on the screen, right? If you request to do it, I'll get an email and I'll open it. Okay, yeah, I see y'all requesting. Okay. Okay. So what I mean by based on our energetic proclivities, are our spirits able to work together toward collective liberation? Basically, what I mean by that is like, you know, sometimes you might be in an organization with somebody and you don't like you think y'all have like certain things in common, or y'all do have certain things in common or whatever, but are you able to work with them based on like, do y'all ancestors even mess with each other? Like, are you able to work with them towards liberation? Because the way that they spirits are directing them to move might not be the same way that yours are directing you to move. Like, are y'all able to work together closely? Or is it a thing where y'all can be like basic allies, but what they're doing and what you're doing is two different things? Then it says, are we finding ourselves at odds even though we supposedly share the same values? And if so, why? So like, do y'all have experience with like being in a political organization and you find yourself at odds with the people in your org? Like, is that something that y'all have been through or experienced before? Especially, I think this is especially something to think about in terms of when we think about the fact of like, yes, the state played a major crucial role in the dismantling of a lot of our orgs. And also, part of why things fell apart was relationships. Cosmic healing. Yeah, I'm really mindful of who I be working. Yeah, like I feel like it's something that comes up a lot, and I feel like it's something where organizations tend to kind of fall apart or get really, really slowed down. Even like my Baba, um, he has talked about this before about like how my Baba is in his 80s. He didn't seen a lot. He didn't been a part of a lot of organizations and he didn't seen a lot. Um, he has talked about like how the crumbling of relationships has played a role in like stopping the progress of things, and like how people be mad at each other for like for years, decades, and then you talk to them about like why they're mad at that person or why they don't fuck with that person, and they couldn't even tell you what happened. And that's not to say that, you know, why ever they was mad wasn't valid, but it's this thing of like there wasn't anything present that was kind of like helping mediate, and there was no spiritual component to how those relationships was being handled either. I think we can't be worried about the slowdown though. That relationship and trust building is important on the front end, given what you're naming. Yeah, and like when I say being slowed down, I don't necessarily mean that going slow is a bad thing. Because slowness in and of itself is a technology, right? Using going slow to build trust is something that we need to be doing realistically. When I'm saying slow, him talking about like things slowing down, um, I think that from his perspective, he's talking about like things that were already in motion, right? And that kind of like came to a grinding halt. Things that maybe needed to be continued or maybe needed to be um paused and reworked, but then just like came to a grinding halt because there was no avenues for for repair or for accountability, people being held accountable in those spaces, um which then leads to the next generations not having as much, what am I trying to say, not having as many models um that they can readily look to build, to continue building on. But I do agree that taking the time to build trust is extremely, extremely necessary. And also because like revolutions are not like one-time things. It's like it is a process that takes years and decades and things like that, which is something that a lot of us don't really think about. I think we think about it as like a one-time event. Um, but those of us who are, in the grind of it every day and who are studying, we understand it differently. We understand like how long it took for these for like if we're studying like past revolutions, right? Cuban Revolution, Haitian Revolution, Bolshevik Revolution. If we're studying these revolutions and we're seeing these timelines of like the things that had to happen so that the next thing could happen, so that the next thing could happen, so that this person could fail, so that this group could fail, so that then they could try this thing again, it's not going to be a one and done thing. We can't get free still moving like that in relation. And I mean, that's true. And I also think it's a cultural thing too, right? Like how we behave in relationship to each other is deeply cultural, because certain stuff people wouldn't be able to get away with if they didn't know that it was that their behavior was going to get excused. If they didn't know that like the person that they were harming or not being considerate of was just gonna like swallow it rather than taking it to an elder, and then that elder that both of these people hold in esteem was going to actually practice these values that would hold the parties accountable. And that goes back to what cosmic healing is saying too about the aspect of time in community building. It doesn't happen overnight. Um so one of the next questions I had here, is this person a comrade when it comes to dismantling capitalism, but an enemy when it comes to Black sovereignty. Now this one is specifically about when you're dealing with non-Black people in organizations. Particularly for people that are organizing like at schools or the other organizations in your area, what that might look like. So for me, this is where Afro-pessimism comes into play. And I think it's a necessary component of the energy work that has to happen in radical spaces. Because, like, for example, there was, when all of those protests were happening on campuses, right? Nationwide. There's one thing, like, they were getting a lot of press and a lot of things. And first of all, I gotta just say, it's extremely important when, like, youth-led movements are extremely important. So I just wanted to shout that out real quick because it's so necessary. And I don't feel like, actually, I was gonna say like that those things don't get talked about enough in organizing spaces, but I don't think that's true. I do think they're talked about enough, but it leaves a lot to be desired sometimes. Saturn exhausting Libra. You talking to a person with Saturn in their 7th house. So listen, the work that has to go into relationship building, that's why I keep harping on it, because I'm like, yeah. And we know that Saturn also governs time as well, right? And Saturn don't do no quick fixes at all. But going back to what I was saying about like stuff that was going on the campuses, like protests for Palestine and stuff like that, I would see certain things come up about like coalitions that have been formed by the students, and then like the black student unions, they would be a part of these coalitions, and then there would be a fracture that would happen. There was particularly one incident that I'm thinking of at Michigan State. I mean at U of M. And so there's this fracturing that'll happen, and the fracturing happens because I don't think that there's enough willingness to really sit with the anti-blackness, or to give space for it to be discussed, for the harm to be discussed, for repair to happen. And people tend to look at like Afro-pessimism as if it's like this thing that's like, oh, it's dividing people and da 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 da. But it's like, is it dividing people, or is it naming the reason why why division be happening? Like the division already be happening. Afro-pessimism is talking about why it happens. So you get what I'm saying? Like, and that's something that I feel like needs to be like, I don't even want to say it needs to be talked about more, because at a certain point, like, we didn't talk ourselves to death, right? I'm not saying like you don't need to talk, but I'm just saying like we have to move beyond having panels and discourse, which again ties into what I'm talking about the energy work aspect. How are we dealing with this shit? How are we dealing with Afro-pessimism from a spiritual or energetic standpoint? Like, not just like our personal feelings and things that happen to us as individuals. How are we dealing with that from an energetic standpoint? I don't have like no concrete answers, but I'm bringing it up because it's like it's not going to be solved through discourse. Anti-blackness is a technology. what spiritual technologies are we creating to meet the technology of anti-blackness? Moving forward, okay, so yeah, we talked about that. Is a necessary component of the energy work that has to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Organizing is not just about the logistics in the physical realm. How are we spiritually organized? Are we organized in ways that honor the differences in our spiritual and energetic natures, and what our roles and assignments are? That was a mouthful. And I guess to kind of simplify that, what I mean is, are we clear, or how are we getting clear about what our roles are in terms of, like, when things come up? Do we know, like, what our role is in the spiritual organization aspect of it? Like, is our role to be like the prayer warrior? Is our role to do root work? Is our role to give readings? Is our role to, like, what is our role? Some of us do energy work just by simply being in a space. We don't have to actually grab a physical tool. Sometimes the energy work is just you literally being there as well. But like, thinking about that as well, like, what does spiritual organization look like, and what is our role? What are our roles? And how do those roles change as well? Like, your role isn't always going to be the same thing every time. Thinking about, like, do we feel freer when we are in the presence of these people, or do we feel like we, like, a tightening in our chest, like they're subtly trying to recreate hierarchical power structures that we claim to be trying to dissolve? And is that feeling asking us to, like, look inside ourselves and kill our inner cop? Like, is the tightening in our chest happening because we're the ones? Yeah, because in each situation, your role might be different, right? Like, what your role is in one situation may not be what your role is in another situation, just based on what's going on. And I think this also goes back to the community aspect of it. Like, I think astrology is really helpful in understanding our personal roles. I agree, Cosmic Healing. I agree. Um, I think it goes back to the thing about the cultural aspect of it, because, like, if we think about what we know about how things operated, like, in villages, like, back on the continent, people knew, like, what their role was. Like, people was knowing what somebody's role was going to be before they even came earthside, right? They knew what ancestor was reincarnating. They knew what what they was going to be doing. But over here, we don't have that same kind of, like, we don't have that same thing. And even as we figure it out as we get older or whatever, it's still not going to look the same as that, because our heritages are mixed. And so again, how we show up is like, we kind of have to morph and shapeshift. We have to be different things. Hold on, y'all. Thank you, Nana. I hope I'm saying your name right. Um, Yeah, so the figuring out of our roles and understanding that our roles, like, that we often have to shape shift, um, and not even just because of, like, how mixed our heritages are, but also, uh, because everybody is not, like, assigned these roles and stuff like that, and we're not all kinda, like, on the same page, we just have to be more. Like, even though, like, there should be, like, a separate person for this, a separate person for that, and that taking those things on, it don't be working like that sometimes because you gotta work with who's there. And while I do agree, that I'm somebody that I'm somebody that believes that sometimes, like, smaller factions of people are gonna be who get the job done. Like, I'm not necessarily trying to figure out how to bring every single person in and assign, like, that might be somebody's job, but it ain't mine. Um, because sometimes you just gotta, like, meet people where they're at and figure out, like, how to connect with them in a way that makes sense and understand that those connections could lead to them, being more involved, but it very well may not. And especially because we know that, like, people being involved, people who, are easily turned, being involved is, like, such a huge risk to our work. I ain't trying to convince everybody to join the movement in that particular way. And so for that reason, a lot of the people who are really committed are going to have to serve in various roles. Um, yeah. And hopefully the work that we do makes it so that future generations don't have to, be that overwhelmed and be that many things, but we really don't know. We can try to make things better in that regard, but as it stands now, this is kind of like where we are. Um, are we able to hold space for multiple truths and be able to ask discern what is being asked of us in a certain moment, whether that is to speak up or observe quietly, to leave, to stay on, in the same or in different capacities? There are many nuances to navigate as people who are very aware of the energy dynamics in every situation. Um, so, like, being able to hold multiple things. Because I think another thing when we're dealing with this kind of in certain spaces is that, again, we can always be dealing with, like, the facts are X, Y, and Z and da 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 da. And yes, that's true, but also several things can be true. And what is visible or what one person recognizes, other people might recognize different things in that. So how are we creating spaces and dynamics where multiple truths can be held and multiple things that get brought up can also be interrogated? Like, somebody can have a valid feeling about something that happened, um, and instead of making it about, you know, okay, everybody here is seen and heard, and that's the end of it. Instead of it being that, it being like, okay, let's interrogate this further of why are you, the white woman, feeling like that? Or why are you, the Latina person or the black person that's with a white partner? Like, why are you, why is your allegiance kind of leaning this way? And why was this person spoken to in this way? And how does that kind of, like, how is that creating, different, how is that not even creating, but, like, solidifying certain things and how we deal with each other? Because I also feel like there can be these things of, like, things getting brought up, but it's not really getting dealt with because everybody is trying to be polite. And I'm not saying that we need to be rude to each other, but also like some stuff just how am I trying to say this? Politeness at all costs, that is a function of whiteness. Like always trying to make sure shit is happening politely. Um it doesn't really allow for things to be processed naturally. So if we're in spaces where the priority is always politeness, can we even get resolution? Or is it always just gonna or is it just gonna be this thing that's like it's resolved to these people, but yet it's still you're still carrying a weight, or that person over there is still carrying a weight, and it's like affecting the work that y'all are doing. These are things that I feel like just again they can get talked about, but the environments may not facilitate actual processing and resolution. Um, how does freedom feel when you have the responsibility to do one thing, but the option to go in a different direction that is easier soothes your ego? Now, this is like super personal, right? Like, I was just getting a little, I was just thinking, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is like super personal stuff. Um, does it assure you does this freedom assure that you can handle whatever comes next when you make the choice that you need to make? Meaning, like, if you make a decision that is maybe not like the most logical, but it's decision that you know you need to make. Um, does that feeling of freedom inside you kind of like help you make that choice? Is it supporting you moving in that direction? Um, do you feel supported to move in that direction also because of the support that you have with hey keys right, like okay, like it's not always going to happen nice. um but yeah, like do you have the support that you need to make those decisions? Like, do you feel free enough to make a decision that's not necessarily convenient, but you know that your people are going to support you, and so that allows you to do what you need to do? Because again, we were talking about like sacrifice earlier, right? I think that the reason it's I think it's more like the reason why we collectively do not know how to sacrifice for stuff is because we don't feel like nobody really got us. If we make this sacrifice, we don't see how we're going to, excuse me, we don't see how we're going to make it to the next day, because we don't have communities or comrades that are consistently supporting us, or that we are consistently pouring into and getting poured into back on that level. So when we talk about like the lack of, basically balls or sacrifice to do what's necessary for revolution in this country, and why Americans are so scary and why we don't be doing nothing, that's a big part of it. Freedom to do the hard thing reminds me about how important it is to have elders. Yep. Because when they was doing stuff, like I remember my Baba was talking about like how the kind of the group that he was in when he was younger, like when he was in college, um, they would do stuff, they would protest, they would do certain things. The elders that they had, them elders would chastise them for certain things, but they would also go bail them out of jail. Right? So like the elders, they had their different ways of doing things. And so they would be trying to tell them you should do this way and da 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 da. Of them as the younger generation, they like, yeah, we hear you, but we want to what. We want to do things our way. And them elders, even though they disagreed with how they was doing stuff, they still went and bailed them out of jail. They still continually had relationships with them. You know what I mean? They weren't just sitting there, talking about these kids these days and wagging their fingers from a distance. So that plays a very crucial role in how we are able to move and what we're able to do, or what we feel capable of doing, because there's so much that ideologically, so much that we kind of have to overcome, especially like regarding shame, and in terms of like feeling like we have to do so many things on our own. It makes us, like, that ideology, it makes us less threatening to the state. It makes it so that like those options to do the hard thing is like, is it really an option? um how do the people around you either help or hurt, in terms of like feeling like you can do what you need to do? And do you feel free to have conversations with them about these things, either verbally or potentially in other realms where tensions and protections and communications are different or better suited for, what needs to happen? Folks be trying to succeed within capitalism alongside organizing, and I feel like that can't really coexist. I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. Like, I feel like we could talk about that for a minute, honestly. Like, at some point, your career trajectory is, if you just keep doing the thing that capitalism wants you to do, is just keep going up and keep going up and keep getting more and keep getting more and gobbling up stuff, then you are eventually going to become at odds with what you say what you're critiquing. Like, we have a lot of people who have made careers out of like safely critiquing the system from within the system. And it's like they have like they are necessary components to things operating the way that they work. Like, even back in the 60s, certain groups, they were liberal groups, but the state let them rock because it's like, we'll rather have some liberals that we can control than some radicals that we can't control. So there's always going to be a place for that. And people acting like they don't understand that, and they don't understand like how they fit into that. It's just very I don't even know how to phrase it. It's tired. It's tired. And it's weird, honestly. And I think it's because they know that, like, on a certain level, they're gonna continue to get clapped for just for saying the thing but not living it. And they care more about the like being seen as that than living like that. Because actually living that way is to constant like you it's very precarious. It's extremely precarious. Like you cannot, because it's one thing to know you need to survive and another thing to try to win. Hello, aka keep hoarding wealth and maintaining proximity. Exactly. Exactly. Especially when we know that the people that are actually actively making decisions like that and living their politic, they are getting punished for it. Oh, don't get me started on it. And a parade is what it is. Like, let's please, like, let's call a thing, because that's what it is. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was like, when I was seeing everything that was happening, and I knew what's in the thing that our thing was today, I was like, we need to talk about that too because, oh my God. So I have a family member that went to one of the No Kings protests, not this one that just happened, but like earlier in the year. And they told me about it. And I didn't dissuade them from going because I thought that it was important for them to have the experience. And I also wanted to know like what happened. Like I wanted them to go because I wanted them to come back and tell me like what it gave because I wasn't going. And so they went and they came back and they told me about it. And then that opened up a way for us to have a conversation about like why it was some bullshit. Number one, why are you registering to go to a protest online? Cause like before they went, I told them I'm like, cut the phone off, mask up, all this stuff. Like I'm preparing them so that they're not, just like out there, But I waited until after they went to kind of like talk with them more about like, so why, like, what d- what did you gain from it? What did you feel like, you know what I'm saying? It helped you with. What was it like? This person told me they was talking about the police was there protecting them. I was like, okay. And I think it happened in like June. So they also brought up like the police car like having a pride flag or something like that. And I was like, so like but like it was getting to talk to them about it was I needed to hear like I needed to hear their perspective and I needed to hear about it from like from them, like what they were getting out of it. Because in my opinion, because I had like said something about it like back then in the summertime. I had like criticized it. And then like this one dude that I'm kind of cool with, he had said something. We ended up talking about it a little bit, and he was talking about like, how the protests can be used to like further radicalize people. I'm like, I think that's true. I think that's true. Um, but if you're not going with the specific intent to radicalize people and like give out literature and like and even that like I think that that's worth doing for sure. I think that that's worth doing. I think that it's worth like people being mobilized in the same space um because they're unhappy. That is a useful thing for an organizer in terms of like propagandizing them and giving them seeing like what certain people will be open to hearing and what they'll be open to looking into more and stuff like that. I think that there is some validity to that. And also, anything where you're signing up to go, anything where they are colluding with the police, anything where like at a certain point we have to like be serious. We have to be serious. Like if you're just going to get your frustrations out and yell in the street, like that's fine. But then what? Because again, like I said, like I don't care to try to like bring everybody in and try to do this and do that. However, there are some people who their role is to like reach certain people. We do though, like because some people not gonna be like that deep in it, but they can still be adjacent and still like be useful, right? Like, and so that it is some of our jobs to like find out who are those people and how can they be useful, how can they be organized to support more radical work. But it's like, bro, I'm like we've got to we're beyond the point of reform. We have been at the point of no return for a very long time. Like this is not the Obama yes we can era. Like come on. Like let's really be real. Like um what I was saying with this last question, I wanted to talk about that real quick. Um yeah, so like the people that you organize with, do you feel safe to have, conversations about like, hey, I want to take X, Y, and Z action. Um, but I know it's going to affect me in this way. How can how are we preparing to like help? Like, for example, like my friend, um, she had got arrested at an action. Not no king shit. It was something more serious and principled than that. And she ended up on probation or whatever. And her organization was a big part of like how she was provided with legal counsel and like paying off some of the fees, like some of the dues that was gathered at the organization went into like paying fees for the people who had got arrested, and particularly supporting, like the most marginalized, most targeted people and things like that. So that's like a very kind of that's like an example of what I mean. Even though like when I say that, I'm thinking about stuff that's like if you knew that this action that you were going to take is going to result in you being homeless, like who's going to take you in? Who's going to feed you? Where is it like where are the places that are going to that are going to see you and be like, I know that we can work together in this way so that you have a roof over your head and we can work together and you can assist me in this way, like with this farm or with this thing or with this business and blah blah blah. Like how are those connections being formed? Like, how is it going outside of the whole, and I'm gonna apply for a job at a nonprofit and blah blah blah. Like, and it's no shade. I'm just saying. Because if we're really talking about working outside of the system, like what ways are we doing that? What ways are we starting to do that? It's gonna take a push. It's gonna take doing things that pushes you further to the that pushes people further to the margins, really, in traditional, in not traditional, but in like a capitalistic society, in order for these subgroups and sub societies to start forming and strengthening. And then I also brought up like having these conversations, like, now, yeah, it's getting a little woo here, but y'all know what y'all signed up for. So like a lot of us here, we know that we there's more to communication than just like verbally speaking out of our mouths, right? So we know that like we can be having an issue with somebody in the physical realm, but we're also having it in the spiritual realm. We could be, in dream realms, we could be like duking it out with this person because we can't fight them in the physical realm, or like having exchanges and conversations in these other realms. And sometimes it's not a thing that you can just like openly talk to that person about, like, yeah, so I seen you in my dream last night and basically we was blah 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 blah. Now, me personally, I feel like I need to be doing liberation work with people that I can have those conversations with, and it's not a joke to them. Like, that's just me though. That's not gonna be everybody, but it's like even if you can't come to that specific person that you're having the issue with, what about is there anybody else in the organization that you can talk to about it, that can who could actually mediate, and not from a place of I'm just taking this realm into account and that's it. I was watching Random Acts of Flyness the other day. I've been rewatching it. Are y'all familiar with that show? It's on HBO Max. Um and like in the second season, I love how normalized it is that like when Terrence and Naja are having conversations and stuff, like they're talking about like these other aspects of their personalities, and like how they're existing in different realms and different shit, and they're being so serious, like it's not a joke. Like they understand that they have to be serious about that shit in order for the relationship to work, in order for them to stay in each other's lives in a way that is healthy. Like they have to embrace the woo woo to do that. And like they're incredibly earnest about it. Um and I feel like that's something that I wish that was more like normalized. And I also wish that it was something that like, let's say that we're in spaces that it's not like a political organization, but like maybe it's like a spiritual community or something like that. Um I wish that in those type of spaces we could have conversations like that, that were not that don't predispose people to like using information to like gain leverage or power over other people. Um because I think about it in those terms too, like not just like the bringing the spiritual into like political spaces, but also like how does in spiritual spaces, like how do the politics work in these spiritual spaces as well? Spiritual. Everything is spiritual. Just because something is spiritual don't mean it's good. So yeah, this is what I've been thinking about. This is what I've been thinking about a lot. And I want to I hope that you guys take these questions, especially the point of like how does actually let me add that. I hope that these can be like prompts for you to explore, to journal, voice memo, whatever, about to bring these questions into like other spaces that you're in. Um where is the thing? Oh yeah. I just kind of like want these questions to be things that we're like thinking about and prompting us to create um protocols for how we engage with this aspect of liberation work. Because the people that are here, we're going to have to be the people that start kind of like drafting these, like creating these protocols and things like that in the spaces that we're in. We're going to have to be the people that like come with this, which is not going to be, that's going to be no easy feat. It's like adding a whole another layer onto something that's already very nuanced and difficult, but it's also necessary. Been thinking about this too, and I still feel at a loss for how to balance it all, but I'm grateful for you bringing this up. I don't know what you were referring to, like which question you were referring to, but thank you, Keys. Thank you, Cosmic Healing. Thank you for being here. Thank you all so much for engaging. Is there anything else that you guys, any questions, concerns, thoughts, feelings that you want to share? Because I don't want to hold y'all hostage. I want y'all to have y'all Sunday too. Have some rest. Oh shoot. Oh, okay. I thought I was late in getting this. Oh, sorry, Cameron. I'm just not seeing this. Cam, why didn't you say that I didn't let you into this document? You should have been said something. Oh, thank you, Matea. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And also, because like as I said, with us, those of us that's here, kind of like having to be the people to, create these protocols. I also want if we are those people, I want us to like be able to come back to each other. Oh, let me put the Discord link in here while I'm yapping. I said I was gonna do that earlier. That way we can like have other people to talk to about it, bounce things off of. That's the Discord. I didn't know what to name it, so I just named it. I just named it Myth Science Laboratories. So yeah. Oh no, I didn't mean to do that. Was referring to the ways we exist simultaneously with others in other. Oh, okay, gotcha. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, the other realms thing, I feel like we could that's something that we could definitely have ongoing conversations about. So yeah, if y'all do have Discord, slide into the server. I'll try to figure out based on the people who are here, like other ways, alternative ways for us to gather and talk and things like that in kind of like low stakes situations where it's not like you have to be here at a certain time on a certain day, blah blah blah, and we can just kind of like chat. But thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate you. I hope that the other people who couldn't show up live get a chance to view the video and see all of your guys' amazing comments. But yeah, thank y'all for being here. Okay, me too. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm going to just play a song to play us out. And then I'm going to shut down the live. I started with Mona Leo, so I'm going to end with Mona Leo.
I was walking around the corner, I was drinking body armor, I was talking on the phone, I was speaking to my mama. It was people outside in their panties and pajamas. I swear I think I seen more pigs than a farmer. I finally break past the onlookers and mourners. I see the caution tape, I knew I was getting warmer. I'm looking at the units and the words read trauma. Oh, this the same shit I seen on Law and Order. I see a white band on the side that said corner, and instantly I knew that somebody was a goner. Seen a hand sticking out, but the body it was covered. Then I heard a cop say he was a junkie and a stoner. A young girl wept, she was yelling for her father. I'm praying that the bum didn't die beside his daughter. I know the next home that she going to is foster. So now I'm looking at the dead nigga like a monster. I see a red cup laying next to his body. It's probably alcohol, so I'm thinking why bother? But what I seen next, man, it probably would've shocked ya. What was in his cup? It was $1. Damn. Don't be stingy, spend some chain and live. Shake. Don't be stingy with a chain. Shake. Don't be stingy, spend some chain. Shake. Don't you know that bums have a name? Damn. Don't be stingy, spend some chain and live. Shake. Don't be stingy with a chain. Damn. Don't be stingy, spend some chain and live. Shake. Don't you know that bums have a name? A couple years later, I became an undertaker. You know the one that put you in the ground of cremation. I see a lot of people. I see elders, I see babies, but for some odd reason, I just can't forget this lady. I'm looking at her face, she's laying on a table. I don't know where I seen her. Was it Instagram or cable? I'm searching for a name, and then I read the label. Last name Johnson, first name Mabel. Her hair was all curled with a necklace full of pearls. Had a tattoo on her chest saying, "Long live Earl." To most, she was a stripper, but to me, she just a girl who was searching for some love, became a product of the world. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know her. She was the daughter of the junkie and the stoner. She was loved, but nobody ever told her. She lost her daddy, now another nigga own her. Damn. Don't be stingy, shake with chain and live. Shake. Don't be stingy with a chain. Shake. Don't be stingy, spend some chain. Shake. Don't you know that bums have a name? Damn. Don't be stingy, shake with chain and live. Shake. Don't be stingy with a chain. Damn. Don't be stingy, slip or chain and live. Shake. Don't you know that bums have a name?